Hi, I'm Renee Chakowski, and it's dessert time in the Real Women of Philadelphia Cream Cheese Cook-Off. Like I said, my name's Renee, and I'm from Michigan. I'm not necessarily known for being able to grow anything, and it's kind of been a joke around here that I don't have one live plant in my house. I actually have some green onions that are growing pretty well over here, but I don't have anything alive in my house. I think I'm known a little bit more for the kitchen than I am for the garden. But one of my friends this year told me that I could grow rosemary, and she said even if you can't grow other things, you can grow rosemary. So she gave me a pot with rosemary in it, and guess what? I grew rosemary. It was pretty cool. I was pretty excited about that. Prior to that, I just grew 2 great kids, and that's about it. So I found myself this year with a lot of rosemary, which I use in a ton of savory dishes, lots of potato dishes and things like that. So I got really used to cooking with it. And then I was watching TV and reading the magazines and the recipe books and things, and I saw that they're using a lot of fresh herbs in cooking now, and especially in dessert. So I thought, wouldn't it be fun to use some of this great rosemary I had in a dessert? So I kind of thought, what would go well? And then I thought, I do a lot of rosemary and lemon, like with potatoes and fish and meats and such. But then what I thought is, how about a different citrus like orange? And then I remembered these hand pies that I make. So I thought, let me try incorporating that. So I did, and they were a hit. So what I call these are rosemary orange hidden treasure pies, and you can guess that the hidden treasure is the Philadelphia cream cheese. So this is how I make them, and again, it's a nice easy recipe from my kitchen to yours. So okay, first thing we want to start with is preparing a few of the ingredients. I'm going to zest my orange, and I'm just using a what they call a microplane grater right now. You can get your zest any way that works for you. These are pretty handy, and if you have one, you already know that it goes pretty quickly. Sometimes I recommend that people use a vegetable peeler. Sometimes even just a regular hand zester will work. So I've got some zest of 1 orange, and I'm going to set that aside for just a minute because I will come back and need to use the orange in a little bit. I'm going to take the zest from this orange and add it to another mixture. That mixture is a mixture of granulated sugar, pecans, chopped up kind of fine, and a little bit of cinnamon, and then the zest. So it's just those 4 ingredients. I'm going to break it up. Make sure it's mixed up really well. The natural oils that are in the zest mix in with the sugar and the cinnamon, and it's just a magnificent dish. Next thing we need to get ready is the cream cheese and the herbs. So to this cream cheese mixture, I've added just a couple of tablespoons of powdered sugar. I like a little bit of sweetness in this, but not too much, because the sugar on the outside with the pecans and the zest is pretty sweet. To that, I'm going to add some chopped fresh rosemary. Very important to use fresh rosemary in this. And you can see, what the sprigs look like. The fresh rosemary is nice and bright and green. And what I do is I usually just kind of peel it off and stack them up, just like this. It smells so good. And then just take out whatever your favorite knife is and just kind of give it a real nice fine dice like this, or nice little chop. Sometimes you can scooch it back and go back over it again. And don't worry, as long as it's nice and fresh, you don't have to worry about getting it too fine, because it's going to chop up and melt in and blend the flavors really well with the cream cheese. So a couple of tablespoons, and that's going to pop in. And I'm just going to mix this in. Now the cream cheese is softened, but it's not runny. It's very important to keep this a little bit firm for the next step, which is taking our chilled biscuits, and I use the large size. The biscuits are about 2 ounces each. I've cracked this open, and I always buy the flaky biscuits, a little bit easier to work with. I'm just going to do a few here to give you an idea. I open up the biscuit, and this is where it's important to make sure that it's cool. I peel it, and the flaky layers come apart really nicely. I just kind of open it up like this. You can do it on the cutting board or in your hand. And then I take and measure about 1/8 into the center of the biscuit. I cover it like this. And you just want to pinch all the way around. Now what I do, because your fingers are going to get a little messy here, But anything worth doing is worth doing messy, right? Is that how that saying goes? I'm just going to do a few. Pop it in the middle. It's kind of important to try to keep the cream cheese in the center so you can seal it all the way around. That way when it bakes, it doesn't ooze out. But the good news is, even if it does by accident ooze out, it still tastes really, really good. And I'll do one more to give you an idea. And again, keeping the dough chilled makes it nice and easy to work with. Scoop in the center. And the little green specks, when it bakes, of the rosemary, when it bakes in, actually look really cool when it comes time to serve. Now, this is the fun part, and this is the mama part that comes out. You want to give these a little hug before you dip them. That distributes the cream cheese on the inside. So just a little hug to your pies. You've heard about hugging your pies, haven't you? All right, next thing we're going to do is take melted butter. This is about a half a stick of melted butter. You know what? Sometimes you need more, sometimes you need less. And I take and I dip both sides of the pie into the butter, shake it a little bit, and then you dip it right into the mixture with the granulated sugar, the orange zest, the cinnamon, and the pecans, and then move it over to your baking sheet, just like that. I'm going to do another one. Want to dip? What's better than butter, right? And then coat, just like this. I like to, sometimes you need to press it in a little bit. And you've got that really nice flavor of the cinnamon and the orange zest working. One more. Then just finish all 8 of the biscuits. I'm making them with the big biscuits today, but there are smaller versions of the flaky biscuits that you can use, and that's really the only thing that you have to make sure of, is that you're using the flaky biscuits, because they do mix really nice. So, okay, we're going to pretend like I'm putting these in the oven. I'm going to scooch this here. And then while the biscuits are baking, I usually will prepare my glaze, because a little more sweetness never hurt. Then I take my orange and I cut it in half, and most of the time I'm using a navel orange. And I have about a cup of powdered sugar. I'm going to squeeze in about a tablespoon, sometimes 2, of the orange juice, and give it a little blend. Just like this. And then, you know what, depending on, well, I made a little mess there, but that's all right. Depending on the size of the orange and how juicy it is, sometimes you need to squeeze a little more in, sometimes a little less. I'm going to put a little bit more in. And the glaze should be, and I'll show you, it should be runny, and it should be able to drizzle off the tip of a spoon, but not so thin that it's going to melt off. A little more juice, and I think we're good. Okay, let's see if these other biscuits are done. Between you and me, I know they are. These bake about 15 to 18 minutes at 375, and they come out and look pretty. You want to let them cool for a few minutes if you can. I'm going to show you what I do. Take your glaze and drizzle over the top just like this. I'll do another one, give you an idea. There's a real nice, I don't know if you can tell with the lighting in here, there's a real nice light orange tint to this. To serve, I'm going to put it on a pretty plate, just like this. And then I call these, like I said, the Rosemary Orange Hidden Treasure Hand Pies. And this is what happens when you cut into them. Look, doesn't it look good? Want to know how good it tastes? Thanks, it was fun.